Welcome to The Nerds from Work, your weekly installment of your adult geek and nerd entertainment, where a bunch of dudes sit around, drink beer, and talk geek and nerd. I'm Josh Tankersley, your host, and tonight I have joining me Naru Abaje.
What up?
And Brandon Miller.
Hello, hello.
And now I can drop this stupid accent and keep going.
Was that your British accent?
Well, no, that's my telecaster voice. Thank you for joining us. San Diego, which of course means whale's vagina.
So we're doing an adult
show
today?
Geek, nerd, and adult.
Okay, so Naru, would you bring your kids into the room to watch the show while we recorded it?
No, but
then it is an adult-oriented geek and nerd podcast.
Yeah, my kid is right there.
And the other reason is tonight it'll be me and Brandon, or just me because I don't know Brandon. Oh, he does have beer. Okay, good.
I do. I'll get another one because it's like
what are you trying to say about my drinking? Straight up.
So I'm drinking Yingling tonight, which I haven't had in a while, and it's actually really good.
I'm drinking water, which I haven't had in a while either. FYI.
So as you guys can tell, Jason had a last-minute emergency, so he won't be here tonight. So you guys are stuck with the three of us. So Naru, what have you been up to this week?
I have been, amazingly enough, reading a lot of Red Hood.
Wrong. The answer was Dragon Con. Brandon, what have you been up to this week? No,
not Dragon Con.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I have watched more of My Hero Academia.
Nice.
So I got to a point where it's actually like interesting. Of what's going on. It just took.
That's what we told you. It's like those kind of YA animes. You got the beginning's a little. I mean, even Black Clover is kind of annoying at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's why I didn't get past the first episode of Black Clover.
Oh, dude, that show's dope too. So.
Okay, I get that you're going to be the Jason on the show today, but cutting me off before I made my point, I was going to say I've been doing a lot of Red Hood reading, but the most interesting I did was I was going to lift this up and show it. My Dragon Con tag.
The problem was
I just steal it.
I tried to throw it back to you, but I guess Brandon didn't hear me, and so he took off with it. I was just gonna roll with it.
I can't hear half the shit Naru says anyways.
I don't know why he can't hear me. It's amazing. You got to go get good.
You should go into psychology. It's this thing where your brain actually only taps into what you want to hear.
My wife calls it selective hearing.
Yeah, there you go.
Every married man has that. I mean, let's just know that.
Yeah, it's pretty. Sorry, it's actually an invaluable skill. Anyways, Naru, what have you been up to, buddy? I'm sorry.
I've been ogling cosplayers, man. That's what I've been doing. Like, just
you wonder why we cut you off. That sounds creepy.
I gotta say, it's just like, let's be honest, man. I know we're supposed to be doing some serious stuff at Dragon Con, but I can't help it. I'm like a kid in the candy store. I'm the guy who gets left behind, and then Tank's wife has to go get me. Like, where's
dude? It's okay. To give you guys context, I know some of you guys have probably seen some pictures. So, Naru, you're what? 6'4"?
2. Come on.
6'2". Jason's 6'1". I'm 5'6". My wife is 5'1", and somehow Naru is the one trailing 30 feet behind us. As we're trying to he says we're just like moseying, but for some reason Naru is another 30 feet behind us, and so Shannon was playing. She had to go grab Naru's leash and pull him up to the front of the party with us so that we could get to where we were trying to go.
And I love her for it, for real. I do. She took care of me. I'm going to say that. Every time I got lost, I just look and she's standing there going, come on.
Now, I will say you did the one thing that she wanted us all to do was take a bunch of pictures with cosplayers, and we all sucked at that except for you. So I guess I will give you props for that.
We actually had a conversation about that. I said, listen, if there's one thing I want to make sure is, even though we're going to do what we came to do, I want to have fun. I really want to enjoy this. I want to enjoy the experience. You know, I mean, all these guys got dressed up so I could look at them. Might as well, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Anything else you've been getting? You just been Dragon Con in and working?
Pretty much Dragon Con. Oh, by the way, note to everybody: if you go to the Dragon Con parade, do not go late with your kid. It is the worst. Like the worst.
The parade is. For those of you guys who don't know, of course, if you're listening to the show, you probably found us from Dragon Con. The convention puts on this massive parade that goes through downtown Atlanta, and they block off blocks and blocks so they can do this humongous parade. And as Naru said, if you don't show up an hour early, then you're stuck trying to hold both of your kids on your shoulders the entire time.
Yeah.
The Yeah.
Just don't have kids. Moral of the story.
Don't have your kid. What'd you say?
Moral of the story, dude. Don't have kids.
Don't have kids.
Yeah, too late for that.
Yeah,
So.
right. Yeah. I missed.
But hey, feel free to take the advice yourself.
Yeah, right. Anything you been up to? Anything else, Brandon, or you just been My Heroing it up?
I caught up on Attack on Titan, so I'm like current on Attack on Titan.
Okay. Do you like it? I tried. I watched it a little bit when I started. I read it a little bit when it started, but I didn't make it very far.
Yeah, it's different than the other. I feel like the ones that you're really hype about is very different than the ones that I usually get hype about.
Sure.
In terms of like how the action ramps and all that kind of stuff. And I also started rewatching. Sorry, someone just random tried to add me on LinkedIn. It's a problem with doing this on the computer. Now I see my
checking email in the background.
Yeah, the ADD just kicks in hard. I've also started rewatching Tokyo Ghoul because they came out with a new season of that as well.
Okay.
That kind of gets rid of the second season. So the new season says, hey, everything that happened in the third season or the second season, forget it happened. Go read the manga up till whatever book, and then that's where this starts. Like, you can watch season 1, read the manga, and this is where this starts. So I'm just curious at the difference. So I'm rewatching season 1, and then I might rewatch season 2 as well, and then watch season 3 just to see why and how it's working, or if it's working. Like I'm not really sure if like mainstream media thinks it's working or Japan or that client is.
I have an announcement to make.
Uh-oh.
I am going to make a definite effort to connect with Brandon on a human level. I'm going to start watching some anime and reading some manga so I can know what you guys are talking about half the time. Like, seriously.
So if you don't like the like more childish jokes or things or wordplay and stuff like that, I would say like go Attack on Titan, Tokyo Ghoul, stuff like that, because they don't have the like weird, not always weird, but like the quirky faces and the jokes, stuff like that. It's more directed straight towards adults. Same with Gundam, any Gundam series.
Yeah, Gundam for sure.
Which 00 is a great one if you've never seen any Gundam series. 00 is a good one, but it's very like political. It's not a lot of action.
Have you ever watched Gurren Lagann, Brandon?
I started it.
Yeah.
But I don't even remember how far I got into it. I definitely got quite a few episodes into it. I didn't get through all of it though.
Because I feel like that would be like in between like Naruto, My Hero, and like Attack on Titan. It's like not totally kids, but it's definitely not like Attack on Titan either.
But it's Teen Nick.
Yeah.
Like it's Nickelodeon, Teen Nick, and Nick at Night. That's what I'm talking about right now.
I love that there's probably 4 people listening to the show who understood that reference. So that's that for you on Twitter tomorrow. That I'm just gonna put that and say if she doesn't understand that, she's too young for you. So oh, dope. So yeah, we spent the weekend or Sunday at Dragon Con. I got this dope shirt from T Turtle.
That is sweet.
And I'm very, very excited about this shirt.
Are you very excited?
I'm very excited about this shirt. I'm so glad that you're picking up Jason Slack since he's not here.
Straight up, I'm very curious to know what shorts you're wearing underneath that shirt right now. Like, just FYI.
It's weird.
That's super weird.
He stood up like he was gonna go all the way. Like he had stuff to show all the way down.
How do you know I'm wearing shorts?
Okay, so moving on.
Dude, you open up the can.
I'm trying to close it.
Dude, it's like, but it's one of those cans where like the worms pop out, and so there's
the worm pops out. Oh,
yeah, see, exactly. That one wasn't even on purpose.
I'm just saying, it's only a worm, so nothing to fear there. So, moving on.
Oh fuck, what's the movie with? It's like not Dune. What's the other one? Tremors, yes. It's a worm just like Tremors.
Yeah, okay, that's what she said. Moving on.
So, episode 2 of our D&D adventure with Chris Jackson dropped this afternoon rather.
Yeah.
We've got at least 2 more to come out. So we'll see how the editing goes. This one, I almost split this one, but I was able to. It wasn't too bad. So at least 2 more of those. So be on the lookout for those. Those were a ton of fun to do. So
did you release it at that time on purpose on Twitter? I gotta ask, because that was unreal how that happened. I was literally refreshing my screen, waiting to see what the big news was from Brie Larson and EW. Refresh. Boom. Next thing I see is Tank drops it on Twitter. Hey, our new episode 2. I'm like, what the?
So I have the D&D episodes drop Wednesdays at noon. I started that with the last episode, and so I try and make sure that all of our episodes drop at the same time every week. So like that's why the pre-show is at 3 p.m. every Thursday, which we won't have this week. And then this show comes out 5 a.m. Friday morning. So I try and make sure it's the same. So
you could just cut the worm segment out and make that the pre-show. Put that on.
Yeah.
put that out there.
But yeah, so we're going to get to what Naru said a little bit later. First, we want to talk about the fact that Jeffrey Dean Morgan wants to play Lobo from DC. And I think Naru probably has the best handle of who the Lobo character is. Does anybody
first, because I
okay.
I have the worst handle on who that character is and
before we even get
the
into
work
that,
of that actor.
Wait, you know the actor though?
I know him. I haven't really watched anything all the way through that he's in.
Have you watched Watchmen?
Not all the way through.
Okay. Have you watched what's that other
The
one?
Walking Dead?
No,
not
not
all the way through.
The one he did from these the Losers. That movie, The Losers.
No. He was somebody's dad too. Was that
he was Batman's dad.
Oh, Batman's dad. That's who it was.
Right.
Yeah, in a flashback. So I saw his work in a flashback where he had like 3 lines or whatever it was.
Perfect.
And look at all the impact he brought to that scene in just that 10 seconds. Like I'm telling you, that was amazing.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was going with my segment. That's why I was going to go first. It's not super long.
Okay.
My opinion about it is what I have seen of him and his impact on popular culture is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, in The Walking Dead, he's awesome. I've seen, like, scenes with him. I didn't ever catch all the way up to Walking Dead. But, like, you know, you just go online and you see, like, the highlights or whatever.
Yep.
So I've seen those, and they're awesome. And he seems like an awesome bad guy or villain or whatever. And the intensity he brings is really, really cool. And like you said, like just a couple lines, like he still brought that, made you feel for the character and what they were going through. So that was really cool. So I think for this type of character who is a very like polarizing character, which is kind of what he's playing in The Walking Dead. I'm assuming it's similar in terms of being very polarizing against everybody else in the current DCEU. I think he's going to be awesome in that role based on what I've seen of him and what I think that character is. I don't know much about Lobo besides random pictures, and I've seen him in stuff, like pictures of him and stuff, and what I read, obviously, for this show about what he is or whatever. I read the article that said that this actor was supposed to be playing this character. But outside of that, I haven't read like storylines with this character. So what I know of both the actor and the character, it seems like a good mix, and it seems like they chose well. But I mean, yeah, I guess we'll see. I'm excited to see him do that. I'll phrase it.
All right, let's back up. He hasn't actually been chosen.
Right. Yeah. It came out that he wanted to do it, and then like The Rock. Social media is so funny. So The Rock literally like tweeted like 2 words, like go for it or something.
Hell yeah.
Or hell yeah. And all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, The Rock is backing Jeffrey Dean Morgan's choice to play Lobo. It's like he put 2 words on Twitter, and all of a sudden this is his like political stance that he's running for president on.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm not saying shown as in movie wise. I'm saying shown as in a character, as a character.
All right, gotcha.
I didn't see a movie at all.
I'll say this about first of all, a little perspective here, or a little context. This is all happening because of that other show, Krypton, right? So Krypton is on Sci-Fi. it was the thing I thought was unnecessary, where they were going to tell the story of Krypton from the perspective of Superman's grandfather and that whole generation. I thought, who the hell wants to see that? You know, it's
Nobody.
I didn't want to see it. But as a true comic book movie fan and TV series fan, I will give anything a shot. So that's the reason why I went with this guy to go see Inhumans in IMAX.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
Yeah.
But moving past that, Travis.
Only 8 episodes, and I still don't think I finished it.
Yeah. But moving past that travesty, Krypton surprised me with both how good it was.
Really?
Yeah, because it was a really good show. It is a really good show. Unfortunately, there's almost nobody anybody really knows or cares about in it. So that you don't have even the star power to draw people to a show, which is on Sci-Fi, which very few people watch to begin with.
Another problem, right?
So that is it's really got nothing going for it, unfortunately. But now they want to cast. They announced Lobo was coming, and I thought, okay, that would be interesting. Then Jeffrey Dean Morgan years ago said he'd like to play the role. And it wasn't even like he said that recently. It was like a while back. He said it a long time ago. And the thing about that is that would be a fantastic mix for one major reason. If you know anything about Lobo, Lobo is pretty much, depending on who writes him in the comic books, he's got this balance of Wolverine and Deadpool in one person. You know, he's irreverent, crazy, zany, mercenary who doesn't really care about anybody, but you can't kill him, so he takes all kinds of crazy risks. And if you read the Justice 2 comic books, he recently got somebody cut half of his body off.
Nice.
Like he was more pissed off about the fact that all my favorite bits are below my belt. You know, that's really the thing that pissed him off. And then he still continues to fight the guy, punching him. And they try to offer him a red ring. He says no. Then he gets a green ring. So Lobo actually gets a Green Lantern ring.
No way.
And he goes to fight these guys, and he generates a huge dick. And just long story short, you need to read it. I don't want to give any spoilers. It is insane.
Oh, that's incredible.
But that's the kind of thing you can do with Lobo that you couldn't do with any other character. So he can definitely draw eyeballs. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan is the kind of guy, I think it was Travis during the podcast, from the Blazing
Defender Report.
He said, as Negan, even though you hate the guy, what he does, you kind of like the guy. And that's what you want. You want somebody he can do the most absolutely unbelievably terrible things, but you still kind of secretly want to root for him because he's got that, charisma. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan does that. Almost everything I've ever seen him do, even though you hate the things he does, he only needs to smile and you just think, okay, cool. I like this guy. Yeah, he's a cool dude. So
I mean, that's dope. I mean, the only thing I've ever seen Lobo in is the Justice League TV show. Justice League Unlimited. He pops in a couple episodes. I know he's the strongest Superman, which is freaking cool. So I mean, I don't watch The Walking Dead. I mean, I've only seen like a few other smaller things like Brandon, but I mean, I think it'd be pretty dope. I mean, as far as an actor being like, I'd love to play this character if it ever happens, but it probably won't because the one time they tried to do a movie for it, it got put on the shelf and it never happened. So hey, who knows? Crazy zany things happen in Hollywood. So
plus they could really use some star power on that show on Krypton. I just gotta say, Jeffrey Dean Morgan on Krypton would definitely improve its ratings and probably get more people seeing it.
Because I mean, it got a second season, right?
Which surprised everybody because the numbers kept going down and down.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I literally thought, well, enjoy it now. It's not gonna come back, and it did. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay.
But like me as one of those people, I would probably give Krypton a chance just because he got cast for it. Not necessarily because I'm a huge fan of him, but because this show's actually able to land someone of that caliber.
Sure. And I like the thing about that show, Krypton, and this is a totally different off-topic thing, I like the fact that it was always different things that caught my eye. Like, first of all, when it started, I was impressed by the production values. Like, this was not a cheap show. Episode 1, I'm thinking, okay. The fight choreography was bonkers. It was so good that I thought, who is this chick who is leading all these people in fighting? And turns out, I was stunned to find out that she's actually a Nigerian British chick. I'm like,
oh, sweet.
And a woman. I'm like, Oh my God. And that's the problem with the show. The most compelling people on the show are not known. Like she's got like 3,000 followers on Twitter. You know, so
Yeah.
even if she tweets or live tweets the show, who sees it?
Yeah.
Almost nobody. You know, so that's one of the issues they've had. So having somebody of that caliber on the show would definitely do one thing: bring eyeballs. And Krypton, if they're smart, they want to jump on The Rock's endorsement and get this guy in that show ASAP.
Yeah.
Like, just pay him what he wants.
So on a much bigger scale, talking about aliens, Naru hinted at it earlier. Today, we got a first look into what the Captain Marvel movie is going to look like. We got Captain Marvel. We got a little bit of some snippets about the different characters and different like species and stuff. And so I think, so if you think about it as, because I tend not to look at a lot of these kinds of things. I like to be surprised as much as I can about some of these types of movies. I usually will watch like the first trailer because it's usually, you know, not very story driven. And these weren't really. These are what I call like a hype mechanic. You know, it's just something like you don't really know anything more. I mean, you only know bits and pieces more about the movie, but it's just enough to get me even more excited for this movie. Because part of me was waiting for this movie so that we can get to Infinity War 2. But now I'm more interested to actually watch this movie and see the character, finding out that it's not going to be a like same old origin story. We're going to kind of start after she's gotten some of her powers and stuff, and learning about the different characters, seeing and I can never remember his name, but it's the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy 1 when Star-Lord's trying to steal the orb. It's
Jamal Hunsu.
Yes, and he's in
everything.
He's in the movie Never Back Down, which is this like smaller little fighting movie, I freaking love that movie. He's in a crap ton of stuff, and so seeing him in it, Samuel Jackson, they're gonna do the computer DH thing, so hopefully that isn't. And they did an okay job with it in Star Wars. Hopefully it doesn't suck.
He's the African Samuel L. Like he's just in so many things you have no idea until you. Oh my God, yeah, he was in that movie. Oh my God, right. he's in Gladiator. Oh my God, he's in. I forgot
he's in Gladiator too.
Yeah, he's in everything, dude.
So in every part he's in, he's incredible.
Yeah.
So like I'm pumped for it. I can't wait to see this movie now just because of these pictures.
I'll tell you one thing that really caught my eye with the pictures. There's a scene where you see Marvel, or we think it's Marvel. It hasn't been fully clarified. You see Marvel. You see Lee Pace as Ronan standing there. I'm like, oh, okay. So we get to see what his life was like before he went crazy, apparently, and got kicked out of the Kree elite forces or whatever they are. So you see him, and you see Ronan, and then you see Jamal Hunsu, and then you see Captain Marvel, Brie Larson's character walking towards them, and I'm like, man, that whole dynamic is going to be so meta, since you've already seen what happens to him later on,
right?
And you wonder what they're going to do with that, the whole thing of Captain Marvel and Ronan and all of these guys going back and forth, and then also we all know Korath's are going to get his butt kicked in Guardians of the Galaxy, so all of that's going to just be insane, all that whole thing. The thing I didn't like though is they said that Nick Fury is going to be a desk jockey, and I thought, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but Nick Fury in the comic books, every iteration, he's always been a badass. He's never been the guy behind the desk. He's been the guy who's the guy. I mean, whether he's the guy who's been taking that special juice that keeps him ageless, or the Ultimate version, which is the Nick Fury version, where he's basically just a regular dude who knows everything, the master spy. What's this desk jockey stuff? You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Sure.
And if this is set in the 90s, how long would it take you to climb the ladder from being a desk jockey
to being the top gun in the world? Yeah.
Well, if you assume that Iron Man 1 takes place in 2008 when it came out, that would give him 18 years.
Yeah.
Or ish.
No, you're talking like it starts in 1990. But
well, I'll give you that. Ish.
I'll give you that. So you're basically saying if he applies himself,
we'll say an average of 15 years to go from desk jockey to super spy. That's a decent amount.
Not even desk jockey to super spy. Desk jockey to running
the entire super spy network of the world.
Well,
yeah, running the whole company.
So like but you figure the life expectancy for a spy who's not very good at his job would be pretty low. So if you're a spy that's lived that long, you're not an idiot, right? So for somebody of his talents, you know.
So Tank is basically giving us some good news.
He wasn't risking his life. He was just stapling papers for 7 years. It really doesn't matter.
I don't know why they did that, but whatever. Oh, by the way, fun fact: they didn't put him in the pictures, but shoot, what's his name? Agents of Shield. Coulson's going to be there as well. So yes. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
You're right. I forgot that he's supposed to be in this movie, and
he is.
And they didn't put him. Of course, I mean we know Coulson. For anybody, the people who watch Shield, which is maybe not the exact same people that watch the movies, but
oh crap! I just thought of something. If Nick Fury's gonna be a desk jockey, Coulson's gonna be the guy at the janitor or something.
Yeah, right.
But also, this could be like Nick Fury could have worked at the company for however many years, and this is the end of him being a desk jockey.
If you think about it, if you think about Men in Black, right, it could be Tommy Lee Jones' character that he was there when the aliens landed, and so he's kind of always been there, working his way up from the very beginning.
And this is his first job.
And this is kind of what really.
Or this could be a bait and switch. They could just show him behind the desk and then just pull a fast one on us.
Maybe that's true. I mean, that would be fine. I'm excited for a strong female Marvel character. And the problem is, and maybe get you guys' thoughts. Do you think or should we be making comparisons to Wonder Woman after it comes out?
Good question.
Regardless of if we should or we shouldn't, everybody is going to.
Exactly, because I mean, are you going to make comparisons to any Marvel movie with any DC movie? Of course you are. And if the comparisons are as obvious as female lead, then yeah, it's going to happen. So should we make the comparisons? Probably not, but will we? Heck yeah.
I hope that people can see this movie for what it is and try and not go super hard, being like, oh, well, it wasn't as good as, as Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, and they were just trying to, they're trying to rip them off. So we'll see. I'm excited to see.
I don't care. I really don't care. People can say what they want to say. Listen, this is an event, okay? There's characters on television and movies that I never in my wildest dreams thought I would see flying around.
Spoiled.
For example, here's the thing. You got Captain Marvel coming up, right? You saw the scene where there's a picture. I don't know if Brandon saw this, but there's a picture of a scene where you can see Brie Larson when she's still a pilot, and she has her buddy, Marie Rambeau, and Marie Rambeau is sitting there with the call sign Photon, and she's a single mother of a young daughter who everybody knows immediately is Monica Rambeau, ironically, who is the actual first female Captain Marvel in the actual comic history. Which I
didn't know that because I'm not steeped in American comic lore, so that's actually really cool.
Well, here's the thing. That's a whole weird story on its own, the whole thing that's happened to Monica Rambeau. The one superhero who's had 4 names, because each time she has a name, some other hero shows up and takes the name. And it's like, what the hell? Okay, Captain Marvel, gone. Photon, gone. This, gone. So long story short, I love the fact that there's going to be so many elements. And the fact that they put her mom there opens the door for us to see whatever's going to happen after Infinity War, opens the door for us to see people like Monica Rambeau in Phase 4 when the next series of Marvel movies, the MCU movie, comes out. So clearly, if her mom existed, then she's alive today. Now, whether she has her powers or gets her powers later on remains to be seen. Right. But it just goes to show that Marvel is planting the seeds for the next generation. We're gonna be watching this stuff and doing this podcast when we're 60, guys. That's all I can say. It's gonna be amazing.
That's what they're good at too, right? Like Marvel knew after probably Iron Man 1 that they needed to start planning all this stuff out and planting. There are probably way more seeds that were planted within Marvel movies that didn't pan out to be their own movies, and everybody's like, oh, it's just an Easter egg. And then other Easter eggs became movies and whole storylines. stuff. They just pick what people like most probably and say, okay, let's lean more that way, lean more this way. We'll bring this character in, but they leave it so open that they can do that in the future.
Yeah.
And they can say, oh yeah, you thought that was an Easter egg 10 years ago. Well, we're bringing it out now. And it's like, okay, did you plan that, or was it just like, oh, people liked that one Easter egg back in Iron Man 1 or Iron Man 2, so let's bring it back.
And make it work, right? Yeah. I got to say, in all honesty, the photos did a lot. Like, even though I was excited to see it anyway, seeing the pictures were like, oh, cool. This is really good. I mean, her costume looks great.
Her costume does look incredible.
It does. I mean, the initial pictures, as usual, were weird. Like, what's she doing in the green suit?
Right.
Well, obviously, the green suit is the Kree uniform, so let that go. But she does look pretty good. The costume looks great. We all know Marvel's going to kill it with the effects and everything, so there's nothing to talk about there. The scrolls, dude, they look pretty good too.
Where I was about to go too.
Yeah.
So you have this like weird dichotomy in Marvel movies. You have a character like Thanos who is essentially 100% CGI, but then you have the characters like the Skrull that look to be practical effects, and like Thanos by no means looked bad, but we're only as far as we are with the CGI characters. But the way that it looks like they did a full practical like Star Wars alien effect with the Skrull actually looks incredible in the pictures they released.
Do you think that's a Marvel decision or a director's decision?
I bet you it's a director's decision because the odds of you finding an 8-foot actor to play Thanos is kind of right. It's a little slim, but
and he would just not look intimidating enough. Like,
but part of it too, but look at Drax, right? Drax is, he spends hours sitting in a makeup chair getting all that stuff put on him. Same thing with Michael B. Jordan and his Killmonger when they had to put all those little dashes on him.
Let's back up to what you said. 8-foot actor to play Thanos. It's different if you're looking for a guy who's 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 8'7". 8 feet tall, that build, yeah.
Yeah, right. Obviously, so
you get the Rock and do some good angles, it'll look like it.
True.
Pull some Tom Cruise angles.
Yeah, Tom Cruise looks like 6 foot in all of his movies.
Yeah, dude, it was like only a couple years ago that I realized he's like 5'5", 5'6", whatever he is.
Somebody do the obligatory, Tom Cruise sucks, yell, scream, or something.
Since Jason's not here.
Yeah, just.
I can do that.
All right, go ahead.
Tom Cruise blows. Fuck Tom Cruise. Actually, it would be fuck Tom Cruise. That would be that's how.
Actually, every Tom Cruise movie, I burned it.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. Hey, by the way, I'm curious to see one other thing, and that would be I heard somewhere that I've never really noticed, but I think one of the guys or the main character of the Skrulls is actually supposed to be this dude who doesn't have the ability to shapeshift. Like he's actually some kind of Skrull with a birth defect. He can't shapeshift. And I'm like, okay, how are they gonna? Is that a thing? Is that gonna be a thing in the movie? I mean, there's all these little things that I know about and I read about, and I'm like, I want to see all the little stuff come to life in this movie and see if they do any of that. And the second thing I want to see is I'm really eager to see her power levels. Like
she's supposed to be like one of the strongest in the Marvel universe, right?
Not one of. They came out and said she is the strongest. So even when I tweeted about it or talked about it, I was like, yeah, strongest Avenger, like straight up.
Right. No, I'm talking about she's one of period in the Marvel universe. She is probably the strongest Avenger.
Oh, Marvel universe, not
Marvel as a whole. She's still one of the strongest characters.
Oh yeah. Look, she's a big gun. She's a very big gun when she shows up. In anything, anywhere. So for her to be this strong, I mean, think about somebody who's got the strength of Hulk and she's got the blasting and powers and flight and everything of, Iron Man in one person. That's what she's supposed to be. So that's pretty impressive.
Does anybody else see her as like Marvel's female Green Lantern? Every time I hear that she's a pilot and that she has alien powers, all I can think about is freaking Hal Jordan. Sorry.
Well, I would say yes and no, because one of the things I like about her character in the comic books is she is bonkers. She's straight up unpredictable. Like she's the girl who made it by hanging out and being out toughing the boys. like outbroing the bros. You know what I'm saying? So ace fighter pilot, barely listens to, takes instructions properly, has problem with authority, and then you give her those powers. Yeah, that's a recipe for all kinds of hell. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with her. I mean, if they tone it down, and because she's this crazy person, effectively, in her personal life.
Right.
So if they tone it down and just turn her into some, soldier who's supposed to be committed to the Corps, whatever the Corps, the group, Space Corps, whatever that is. Having said that, Hal Jordan has never been good with instructions either. So
no,
yeah,
but I'm a Hal Jordan fanboy. So
yeah, you must.
Although I say that, I've seen as much stuff with who's the Justice League Green Lantern?
John Stewart.
Thank you, John Stewart. So,
yeah.
Hey,
my favorite, probably almost my favorite animated movie though, at one point was the Green Lantern movie, The Emerald Knights.
That actually is a really good movie.
That was a fantastic movie. And then the series. Did you ever catch the series when it was on Netflix?
The really kid one?
The Green Lantern series.
It's like the really like chunky animated like one.
Shaded.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's the only one. Yeah, I mean, I saw it.
The story was really good. In fact,
they had just started introducing the other lanterns when it got canceled. They had they had a couple blue, like one blue lantern and a couple red lanterns.
Right. Yeah, it was really good, man. I was like, wow, this could go for a while, and they ended it. I'm like, well, shows what I know.
Yeah. Right. All right. Well, sweet. We're all excited for Captain Marvel. I think it's gonna be a hit. I mean, it's Marvel. It's gonna be a hit. But I think they've done what they wanted to do is get people like me past the fact that, I need to see Captain Marvel so I can go see Infinity War 2 next. And so I think they accomplished that. I think it's going to be a great movie.
It begs a question though. We know she's going to be there in Avengers Infinity War 2, right?
Right.
She's going to be there, right? I think.
We're assuming she is, yeah.
Okay. What role do you think she's going to play in saving the world?
All of it.
I mean, there's only a couple of them left, right? And so one of them, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, is stuck in the whatever microverse. So I don't know. I mean,
I guess let me rephrase that. Do you think she's going to show up early in the movie and play a part all through?
Yes.
Or is she going to have the Thor role and just they'll show her somewhere else, and then she's the one that makes the big entrance and actually shoots him in the head?
When did they start filming?
Infinity War 2's already shot, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
they started filming Infinity War 2 right after the first one finished. They took a small break and then pretty much immediately started filming.
Yeah, and they actually shot some scenes,
a few scenes at the same time, but. Yeah. Because they wanted to film them both at the exact same time and realized it was just too big to do that way.
Right.
And so they took basically took a few weeks off to do like the press tours for Infinity War 1 and then immediately jumped into Infinity War 2. So.
Because here's the thing, because I know she was cast long before that and all the talk and everything, so they had enough time to put her in or factor her into the story in a significant way. The question is how much of it would be on her shoulders. Are they? Because if you want her to carry the MCU going forward, then you need to have us believe she can, not just in her own movie.
Yeah, that's why I was asking when did they film it, because what I think they would do with how much people refilm shit nowadays,
right?
Wait to see how successful Captain Marvel is, and then either add scenes or delete scenes.
Well, my thing is, so if you almost equate it to Spider-Man, so the Spider-Man had a small part in Civil War, but he hadn't had his own movie yet. Mm-hmm. So since we will already have had the Captain Marvel movie, she can be in way more of Infinity War 2, and everybody will know who she is. Right. So
unless it tanks and everybody hates her, they could still leave her as a major part, but they will cut scenes of her.
They could. I think that's part of the reason that that Wonder Woman had such a big part in Justice League is because she was like the best part of BVS. So
she did awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, she was. I mean, I can still hear that what's the cello? That cello theme. Oh man, that was yeah. I was gonna say though, when Brandon said that initially, I was shaking my head. Like, there's no way they have enough time between when her movie and I thought, wait, shawarma scene. Don't ever underestimate Marvel. They will they will find a way to do a significant reshoot or do something that yeah.
Well,
So
recently it feels like every movie you're waiting and you're like, oh, there's like only a couple months until it comes out, and then you hear news they reshot half of the movie. And you're like, what? And it's so close that you're like, there's no way they did it. But like Suicide Squad was one where they refilmed, like after they showed it to people, they refilmed like a giant portion of it.
Suicide Squad
and changed the whole thing. Like
it doesn't work.
Fantastic Four.
It doesn't work.
Batman vs Superman refilmed a lot.
It didn't work.
Justice League refilmed a lot.
Those are all parts of the problem. Batman versus Superman, Justice League, Suicide Squad, Fantastic Four. The second you have to go in and do significant reshoots, unless those are pickup shots to just add more effects and stuff, if you're fundamentally altering the story, it's gonna suck.
Right, because every movie builds in reshoots. Because like until you start putting the movie together, you never really know what you have, right?
Except The Wizard of Oz.
Except do what?
The Wizard of Oz.
Was that all shot at one time?
Yeah, they couldn't afford more film rolls, so that's why in the backgrounds there's random birds walking around because the zoo next door, the birds got out and they're like in the background of the stuff, but it's not supposed to be there. But they didn't realize it until after they were putting it together, and they couldn't afford to reshoot it.
That's awesome.
What movie? I didn't catch that.
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
Are you serious?
Just look up like birds in the background of the Wizard. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, that's funny. I'll have to go look that up.
Right? The second we're done, I'm like,
yeah, right.
Yes, movies that refilm are usually movies that don't do well in the long run.
Yeah,
but that's only because we haven't seen movies that had to refilm because the prequel that was already shot that's supposed to lead up to a majority of the movie tanked.
That's true. The Marvel the superhero universe is so unique. Like, there's never been anything like this. Yeah. Like, there's never been as big a universe. The only things I can think of, just sheer number-wise, would be James Bond, but they make a point of changing actors. So that's all complete. So like that's not even a really good comparison story-wise. It's just they have a bunch of James Bond movies. I can't think of anything that has a more or less through storyline through freaking how many 12 movies now or something?
But with that, since it's so huge, like I'm not saying that I think Captain Marvel is going to be bad because I'm really excited for it. I think it's actually going to be really good.
Yep.
But since it's such a big storyline and plot and characters and stuff, technically if it did horrible and you don't want her to be the poster child of this larger movie that you're trying to keep the continuation, you could cut her role where she initially was going to be a majority of the story, cut her role to where she just comes in near the end, or she's like in the background of stuff.
Right.
And just cut her bigger scenes out and fill those with scenes with someone that people love.
That's true. I mean, they CGI'd Spider-Man out of that Civil War scene until we saw it. Like all the trailers and stuff, he wasn't in any of that stuff.
And they put Hulk in. And so yeah, there's so much they can do in terms of making
movie magic. So that's going to be it for us. Go ahead, Naru. Go ahead and tell them where they can find you.
You can find me at The Niger Nerd. I'm going to spell it TheNaija, nerd, because these guys don't know what I say when I say it. Everywhere, by the way.
And Brandon, please, we've all been waiting for this week's installment of Where to Find Brandon Miller on the internet.
On the cover of.
Find me at How About We at It's actually a country singing dating website. I'm
really?
Just no, it's just a regular one.
Why did you have to spoil the myth, man? Come on.
Oh, you should have just left it.
Yeah, it's a country singing. You know what? Yo, Tank, edit that out. It's a country singing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cut that part
country out. Country singing dating website.
Sounds like a country song, though, right?
How about we?
Yeah.
Now say that in your country voice. How about we?
There you go. That's beautiful, dude. Sound
Yeah.
like it from the South.
Perfect. You guys can find me all over the internet at The Caped Critic. You guys can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes at TheNerdsFromWork. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at NerdsFromWork. The D&D adventure is still going on. Our Dragon Con panel is up on YouTube. It will be on iTunes as soon as I can get it off YouTube and put it on iTunes. And we've got a lot of stuff coming up this year. We're working on a Patreon. We'll have more details about that in the next week or so. So be on the lookout for that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.
Sayonara.